I mean,
Yep.
just wait until Tazzik builds a cannon that's big enough to use to fire off the kobolds, and then we have ammo.
That's right. That's right. Everyone knows in an emergency situation, a kobold is a great source of ammunition.
Listen, if we get Owlbear to pack him into a tight enough ball, he probably would work as a cannonball.
That's yeah.
Facts.
No, I can't even. Yeah, no, that's accurate. 100%.
Or we'll get Owlbear to squish him into a ball. We'll put him in a sack. We'll wrap the sack up with some chain and jam that down the cannon, and then all will be fine.
That'll do.
It's an intimidation shell at that point.
The goofy like whoa down to an art, but like do it like smooth brain talk.
Yuck.
Joke's on you guys. Smooth Brain is actually like a 40th level character, and just
Even better for a cannonball.
It's fine. That's what I'm saying. The hit points will make it.
use Conjure Sandwich. It's a spell that's specific to the Smooth Brain tribe.
Yeah, like whatever. You know, he's a 40th level character who's happy to live in a chest and eat sandwiches from under his coat.
He's just Ruben from like
Do you,
Stitch, then like.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, he's just hanging out.
Damn. Oh damn! Hold on.
Oh damn! Wait a minute.
It's not bad.
Yeah, but they don't like water so much.
Yeah.
Facts. Straight facts.
The experiments
You
did
guys are just
not
gonna come
like
across a
water.
book that's just filled with like not copyright infringed Disney material.
Yeah.
That's great.
It's just a bunch of young women looking over the side and singing just different songs. All it's like one of those TikTok farms. They're all just in their own little space, singing songs separately. No interaction with
Take
each other.
sonic damage from getting too close.
Yeah.
The ship's called the Rat. Completely unrelated. It's got 3 squares encompassing each other, not 3 circles.
The Ratatouille.
Yes, the Ratatouille. That's right. But your boat's the one that has the rat problem, though.
It's not a problem if they have armaments. It's a solution.
There's 3 whole rats on this ship, and
None of them are normal sized.
But then again, you guys eat Quint's food, which is also kind of questionable at the best of times.
Quint's cooking is perfectly above board.
I'll have you know.
Quint's
Yeah, that's
snacks, however.
Yeah, exactly.
allegedly.
The meals he actually prepares and serves are totally fine. It's the snacks it's his travel snacks that are a
Quint's
little
that
questionable.
friend who comes on a hike and has like his own homemade jerky, and you're not sure what it is or what we put into it.
He keeps whispering something about
Yeah.
Soylent under his breath.
It does taste good.
Yeah.
Mm.
Soylent Green.
I got some Soylent Yellow and some Soylent
I used
Blue.
to get Soylent drink powder from the States, and it was a weird feeling.
Interesting.
It worked well, but yeah, it was like a meal replacement powder made out of algae. But
No, wait, that's an actual thing. People,
it's an actual
Hold
thing.
on,
It's called
no.
Soylent.
Soylent.
Yeah,
is not,
Soylent is
no.
real. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, back first time I tried LARPing, the guy who brought me, he was like, I was like, so what do you eat? And he just gestured to his car, and he just had like a whole thing
Case
of
of
Soylent
Soylent. That's awesome.
bottles. I
jeez.
only drink Soylent.
There's
Yep.
there's words. Soylent is an actual.
And
Yep.
that can't like real big picture though. That can't be good long term. Like there's no way.
No.
There's no
They make
way
it a lot
that's a
of
good
claims, and
idea.
there's no way they're accurate.
Nah, like meal replacement is even a strong term for something like that, you know?
Oh man,
Yeah.
Soylent drink. Oh wow, so okay, okay.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Seriously.
Wow, they have like 6 different flavors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Creamy.
Yeah,
chocolate.
when I started with it, it was just a powder, and it was basically like a boost or something like that, meal replacement.
Oh wow, it's a ready-to-drink meal with 20 grams of protein and 39 essential nutrients. Again, we're not sponsored. I just learned this thing exists. We're live, by the way. Just mention that.
Soylent is not people, it's algae.
Soylent is not people.
Soylent is insert ad spot here.
We could make up to $11 from Soylent.
Yo, the up to $84 just sent me.
Send me to. I was dying. That's so
84
funny.
whole dollars, guys, for a sponsorship.
Such a random
And that's
number.
up. As Liam pointed out, that's up to, and in
is
fact,
up to.
$0 is up to $84.
They all say that. I got the highest one
It's
I've
the
gotten so
criteria.
far was earned
Yeah.
up to I think like $680, and it was 100% for Raid Shadow Legends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a game that I
Raid
don't
Shadow
know if anyone actually plays Raid Shadow Legends or if everyone's just sponsored to play it.
Like I actually know.
Well,
nothing.
you have to think like at some point somebody's playing it and somebody's paying them, right? Like someone's doing the microtransactions because they've got the money to throw at every YouTuber and every
There's a
streamer in
PC
history.
version. You could play it on PC.
Whoa.
Oh god.
Whoa. Tell us
What?
more about this game.
Yo, don't shill.
What other
unless you're
platforms
getting
is it
paid for
available on?
Yeah, stop chilling, guys. Hold on.
Bad.
Yeah, please don't play that game.
The Patreon exclusive.
Please don't ask for that game.
sponsorship. Hey, we only run ads on our paid content.
Oh man.
Uh,
Oh yeah, my one whole
that
paid
makes us
content
normal
is just like
TV.
it's just brain rot, which by the way is what I'm going to be calling the behind the screen. Like how every podcast ever, the DM has a behind the screen little segment. It's 100% going to be called brain rot, but like wrought iron, like, like brain work.
Brain rot. Yeah, I dig it.
Can we get I hate to say Agnes, but she's so good at art, but can we get Agnes to like have a picture of like a cartoon image of you with just somebody hitting you on the head with a blacksmith's hammer?
Oh.
Yo.
What if your head was the anvil and then your ideas are getting completely smashed on your face?
Yeah.
It's the monster
Hitting
manual
with
getting
a
like
hand.
pounded into my brain.
Oh, I'm imagining like as the hammer, like a hammer hitting you, and then just a kobold coming out the other side, going, "I'm smooth brain."
Mm. I dig it.
That's the banner. That's the banner for the
Yeah.
first one. For the premiere of the series.
10 out of 10.
It's your head. It's an energy drink. It's a hammer hitting the energy drink, and then monsters
man.
falling out of your ear.
That
I mean-
doesn't sound overly complicated at all.
We could get the
No,
Boston
and
story.
you know what?
That's right,
It reads
that's
so quick.
D&D fuel,
driving a
'cause
car.
that's what we all need is energy drinks.
It's not like I asked Agnes to put like
Yep.
50 characters in a language that I don't think any of us speak in the logo or anything. Got to keep things simple. I feel like Liam has actually like tried to translate what that says. 100%.
He
100%.
definitely did. He literally said he did.
Nice.
Not surprised.
He literally said he tried. Because of course.
I may or may not have gone to ChatGPT and just asked it to write the lyrics to "Never Gonna Give You Up" in Greek.
Not surprised.
May or may not have,
That'll do it.
but never tell him that.
That'll do it. No. We'll never admit it.
Can't prove anything.
Can't prove it.
All right, so it should be nighttime if I remember correctly, because that's what we're doing it right now. Is it nighttime? It says transition to
Yeah, we were
daylight, transition
leaving.
to darkness. There we go.
We were, because we would have rested, either just left dock and rested, or rested at dock and then left.
Yeah.
We were all to a person tapped out.
All right. Well,
Yup.
let me see here. Ooh, I like those shadows. That's cool. Oh, dude, the brain fog is so real right now. Okay. So,
All good.
Ian, Tazzik, my brother, what happened last time?
Yes. No, I had my notes up for the next one. I did not have my notes up for the last one.
Oh dear.
It's okay.
All right.
Dun, dun, dun.
They come up quick enough. Google Drive is great.
We love you, Google. Please sponsor me.
Yeah. Anyway. So last time on Let's Throw Dice, we came up into the light of day and moved off into the castle with Irie the Witch and discovered that she was still casting a powerful spell. Edmund the pirate smacked her on the head and said, "I'm back, you can stop." Tazzik gave her a bunch of copper coins and told her to use it to improve her skill. When she asked what he wanted in return, Tazzik was very unspecific and told her that when they come back to town, maybe she does something nice for them. Maybe a little this, a little that. Never know. Edmund mentioned, Eldon mentioned some magical, maybe some magical creations, and then got the onion handshake for his trouble. We got outside and started making our way down the cliff. Edmund took a deep breath as we headed down. We found a kobold of the illegal variety named Smoothbrain, who entrusted us with the task of getting a cask of Irie's moonshine for their employer, Jason Silvershackles, captain of the Inevitable. We aggressively negotiated with a dwarf who guards the dock for a pair of silvers and 5 coppers for our stay again, because he thought he was negotiating for a day before. And then we negotiated with Slime Eye the fishmonger, who got rations for the travels ahead of us. After Quint got his rations and a chunk of random wood, we moved on to the blacksmith and negotiated for a gun barrel, a knife, and a very, very nice set of silverware. When we got back to the tavern, we brought the gnome his bottles of onion wine, and then he argued with us for a little while about not paying, and then Edmund scared the living crap out of him, and he gave us our gold. And then we went back to the boat. Quint discovered that Owlbear was on ship for 6 days and ate most of the rations during that time, as Owlbear would. Quint also discovered a stowaway on board that Owlbear had booped and tossed in a chest. And we seemed to have lost Spook for a little while before Quint discovered him under a barrel. The stowaway was yet another of the Smoothbrain clan, and when Eldon signed the contract, this Smoothbrain, who is distinctly different from the previous Smoothbrain, came on board, and he is to tie us to Jason Silvershackles, and that he is basically a compass when we need him to guide us there. The rest of the crew came on board as Quint put Spook to work preparing food. Then Quint went about questioning the Smoothbrain regarding the contract, and found out that we may have gotten into something a little sketchy, but we haven't figured out what yet. So we decided to circle back to Irie's castle and get a barrel of moonshine for when we eventually find Silvershackles in case we need to negotiate. We also resupplied a little extra because Owlbear is hungry. And then it faded to the darkness.
And in the darkness, we find ourselves, after, I'd say, a day's travel, towards the Pillar of Smoke, I believe was the heading that you guys passed on the way to.
Yeah.
Yep.
Excellent. Now, you guys are still too far off to see the Pillar of Smoke. It took about 2 days after that, so you're about halfway there. And you find yourselves in the darkness. So I don't know, is there anything anybody would like to do? Hey, you guys have the ship to yourselves. Some points of interest. It seems dinner laid an egg, and Tazzik still, of course, has his rats. And there is the mysterious old man you guys pulled out of a hole in the ground.
Mm-hmm.
What rough time of day is it? Because I don't think all 3 of us would be awake.
That is fair. I'm trying to recall who does shifts when.
Quint's plan was always to be up just before dawn to cook. So if it's the wee hours, Quint is either up or getting up. And then Eldon was staying up until then. Mm-hmm. And I think Tazzik had the evening shift with Morgan.
Right.
Usually,
so Eldon had the graveyard, I think.
Gotcha. Well,
and Morgan was working the 7 to 7 kind of deal.
Yeah.
Right.
And Tazzik was the opposite for that. And Tazzik was the opposite for that. And then Eldon and Quint were doing a 4 to 4 kind of deal or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let me see here. Well, I'll say it's let's call it about 3 a.m. So Quint probably still in the sack. And so Eldon would be up with Tazzik.
Yeah.
And noticeably as well, Owlbear's out cold as soon as the sun's out. Owlbear's out. Yeah. That's how he be. But Oscar hasn't left the deck of the ship. He's been keeping you guys company on deck. So, yeah. Yeah, I guess I should say that I mean, probably understandably. Edmund has not taken his eyes off the sky, off the sea. He's looking off into the distance. You see him breathing deeply, enjoying pretty much just being
Freedom.
outdoors,
Yeah.
being on the ocean. This old salty dog. It's you get the sense that it's been a while.
Eldon will kind of wander down the deck towards him, and kind of same thing, looking around. Eldon's, as usual, doing his weather check as well. Just get a sense of what the weather might be in the next 24 hours.
Ooh, next 24 hours, you will have fog rolling in.
Interesting. Okay. Eldon's going to make note of that, but not necessarily to anybody in particular. And Eldon will just kind of make his way over and kind of casually address Edmund and say, "So, Master Oscar, I don't believe we ever got the chance to ask how it is you found yourself in that interesting little fortress, we'll call it."
He turns to you and ponders your question for a moment. He stops and says, went down there willingly, believe it or not.
That's interesting. Why? And why would you? Why would one choose to lock themselves in there in such a place that only the witch could open the door to?
Well, you saw that boat outside of there, right? Yeah.
So it didn't used to be closed off.
No, that was a recent thing, but, yeah, what can you do?
Fair enough. I imagine you're quite thrilled to be back in the open air, back out on the seas.
Thrilled, yes. Scared, shitless. Now, I know I've asked, but what? How long ago did you sink the Wormwood?
Well, given the, let's see, not accounting for the interesting passage of time while we were delving into the fort, I would say before we arrived at Hag's Reach, it was a little over a month, maybe five weeks.
5 weeks, week down, so about 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Call it six, maybe a bit longer, about 6 weeks, 7 weeks.
All right, he looks.
All
he
told.
looks to you, and he kind of finds a. You see his lips quiver as he tries to figure out the way to ask this question. The W forming on his lips is. Which one among you pulled the trigger?
Well, Eldon kind of stops and thinks. He goes, "Well, I mean, Tazzik was the one who happened to set up the cannon. He rigged one of the cannons to explode in an alchemical explosion should anyone attempt to fire it. But I believe it was myself that gave one of the crew members the order to discharge the cannon once we were out of range. And in doing so, convinced him to effectively pull the pin on the ship he was on. So if we're looking for the motivator, that'd be myself, but the actual trigger man would have been someone who went down with the ship."
You see, consider.
Oh, probably more up than down. That was a pretty big explosion.
Vaporized.
Parts went up, parts went down, parts went left.
Bait, but there.
Yeah, poor guy was standing next to the cannon, so he rested in pieces for him.
There wasn't much shark bait left over for after that.
Yeah, no. Singed bits of hair and clothing about maybe half a pinky or something like that. But yeah, it was one of the crew members who was the one who actually discharged the cannon and set off the explosion.
Aye.
So indirectly sinking, not in open combat, it was then.
Correct. We were originally aboard the ship. We were press ganged into the crew, and as we had made do with the situation of being part of the crew, eventually the crew as a whole, the Wormwood, we stumbled upon this vessel and a small merchant crew aboard it, and after coming aboard and clearing it of its previous occupants, we were assigned as its temporary crew, under the guidance of the former first mate of the Wormwood. And as we sailed off with him at the helm, the explosion happened, and then we disposed of him. Took ownership of the vessel ourselves.
I took significant issue to being press ganged against my will.
As one should. The sea is
We all did.
for the willing, for the open. It's freedom. Freedom.
I Tazzik's fiddling with some metal and parts and stuff like that on the top while he's I guess manning the helm.
All right, yeah. I do just
Riding
want
the
to,
helm.
because Quint, I think you can't even move yourself below deck, right? It's why you're still up there, Season.
I think he can.
Probably.
But I'd like to imagine that
this one
Quint was
you
just
took
like
off the
sleeping there with like dinner was like
Yeah.
perched on his shoulder or something.
That tracks.
Honestly, I think the moment that they made it back onto the ship, he was like extremely tired, and his limbs seem almost like lead. And he's like, the festivities the last few days just really took it out of me. I think I need to recoup real quick. So he collapsed on the deck immediately.
Conked right out. R.I.P.
No.
Okay, there you are. I was like, where did you go? Am I a screen the rat was above you? Good old Arista rat.
Sneaky.
Which I need to like actually update those tokens because I do have friendly rat tokens. Not big
they look
angry
real
rat
friendly.
boys. Where like one of their teeth kind of blends into their lip. Yeah. Or into their mouth. Yeah, just ever so
guess
slightly,
so.
you know? Like it's almost like I didn't get an artist to actually make these. I stole somebody else's talent. I know.
Gasp.
Amalgamated it from a number of
That's right.
sources.
Yeah, so to kind of go back to here with Oscar here, and your time on that ship. Did you ever learn any history of it?
No, can't say that we did. No one was. The current crew that we were working with were, well, agreeable enough. We're not very forthcoming about gossip and history and storytelling. Particularly not when the captain and the higher officers were around. So no, we really didn't hear much of the history of the vessel. And after we arrived back in Port Peril, we were surprised to hear no one had heard of us, no one had heard of the Wormwood, and that seemed to be a bit of a mysterious gap in knowledge for those around us, despite us remembering perfectly fine that we were on the vessel.
Yeah, that tracks. Now there's a long tale. I've heard tell of the Wormwood before, and something you might want to know about it. And he stops and kind of looks at you seriously. You can feel the stare in his, like, he's like, once more just like staring into your souls. Like he's not even like looking at you, he's looking through you as he tells you this. And there's you're not the first to sink that ship. And he pauses.
You alluded to as much, and if I recall correctly, you mentioned that it in some way is yours. So, I imagine you know more of it than most.
You could say that. See, the ship there, it'll be back. It always comes back. There was a brief time in my life, early in my career. He stares you up and down. Long before you were but a twinkle in your father's eye. I had a brief tenure on that ship when we ran afoul of some Chelish slavers looking for yeah,
Merchandise?
yeah. And how I survived, couldn't say. Don't remember much of it except one day, woke up on a beach. But what I can tell you, with that little bit of knowledge there, is that my time that ship had sailed under a different name, a different flag, a different captain. And he looks at you and he says, "You know what they called that ship?"
Couldn't guess.
Spirit of Vengeance.
That's due for a new name soon.
Quite the
What's
title.
No, I didn't hear what
I said it's
Tazzik
quite the
said.
title.
Oh, it's due for a new name soon.
It's too free. And now as for the ship that sank us, it went back to port, if the tales are to be believed, because I wasn't there. But it went back, Chiliax, with its newfound, as you say, merchandise. And if the stories are to be believed, the ship sat in port for a few weeks, and one day just went up in smoke. That's all I ever really heard of. Then things happened. And here I am. And he laughs about it and says, I'm sure it's nothing to worry about. And he winks at you.
Well, as you say, the spirit of vengeance. If it has vengeance, if it has issue with us, and I'm sure we'll see it at some point. If not, then maybe the tales are a bit exaggerated.
There's one thing men of the sea are good at. That's it.
Spinning a yarn.
That's it. Now, tell me something there, Eldon. How did you find yourself captaining this ship?
Truth be told, there's not much of a story to it. It was when we took possession of the ship, it was a role that suited me, and then, the crew all were happy to let me take the lead, but it was more or less a decision of the crew as a whole. Captain title, but really, they're equals in terms of say. I take their opinion to heart quite intently when we're making decisions, because, as you've noticed, I'm not the most experienced, I'm sure, and the others have some particular skills that lend them to very particular roles on the ship, and for the sake of a figurehead and one who acts as the visage of the crew and the visage of the ship, I suppose I can fill that role.
He stops. You see him kind of crack a smile. Not very often I meet a captain done so by democratic election.
It's not something we talk about. Not something we advertise, but at the same time, I mean, seeing as you're coming along with us, no reason to play coy about it. No reason to beat around the truth.
Part of the crew now, for better or worse.
chance, right?
Right, part of the crew. Which, now, gentlemen, I'm not sure what you think of me. And he does take a bit of a bow, and you see that his clothes are old, worn, nothing to really write home about. The wisps of like the chain shirt that he's wearing underneath that you catch glimpses of are rusted and not very well taken care of. I think a couple of good hits and that thing would be, well, about as protective as the shirt over top of it. I hope you understand that in a fight, there ain't much I can do.
I wouldn't worry about that. The fighting we can handle. We seem to get along all right. So, we're welcome for your advice and your experience. We wouldn't ask more than you're capable of giving.
That's He stops and he kind of smiles to himself as if remembering a joke. He said, "That's probably for the best." And you, Master Rat. And he turns to Tazzik and kind of walks over.
Yeah.
Gingerly stepping around the sleeping dinner. He turns to "Heard you laid an egg." Dinner looks up at him, and Oscar looks down at Dinner. And Dinner just kind of like gets up and just disappears below deck.
If there's a magic to tell if there's a chicken inside that egg or if it's just
It's actually a golden dragon.
breakfast. Yeah.
There's probably some knowledge nature there to figure out if you can feel any kind of warmth or
Really bright
life
light
to the
on one
egg.
side.
Yeah. I'm sure we could figure something out if we were so inclined, but
It'll be fine.
it's
Everything's
fine. Don't worry about it.
Tazzik will look up at Edmund and go, "Yes, Master Pirate of old."
Yes. So how does a rat find himself at sea?
That is a long story that involves a lot of death. But I was driven from my country by prejudice against my peoples and found myself adrift. And, well, the assassins kind of pointed me in the direction of the shackles to make some profit and find a home.
Oh, gun for hire then.
For lack of a better term, yes.
You see him kind of frown a little bit at that. Not quite disapprovingly, but considering.
Although, these days, less for hire and more for part of the team.
And what a team it is.
We do all right by ourselves, that's for sure.
Well, you managed to sink the Wormwood and are still alive, so must be doing something right.
Or something very wrong. By the way, that you see a pile of, or a contraption in front of Tazzik that looks like it's got more barrels than it knows what to do with, and like he's tuning little springs into place on hammers and things like that.
He looks down at you and says, "Building a gun, is ya?"
I got a debt to repay.
He eyes it again. "Dragoon."
Not quite. Got a good eye for guns, but this one's a little bit more complex. So,
Look forward to seeing the finished product.
should be promising.
He kind of gets up and, Eldon, Captain. Where might a weathered old man find a place to rest his weathered old bones?
Of course. Should be an open room hammock in the below decks if you were so inclined. Master Owlbear might share his hay bale if you ask nicely, but I imagine the hammock might be a bit more comfortable. Should be an empty one in the below decks.
And it'll be less stinky.
Well, Owlbear looks like he's a good snuggle bear. And Owlbear looks up from his hay bale and
Great snuggler.
Yeah, he's
but-
got to watch all the crab shells.
Yeah. He'll take a while to get the smell of crabs off of you.
and the actual crabs off me.
It's almost not worth thinking about.
as he like coughs, he just kind of like disappears below deck and presumably off to bed. So, yeah. How are the boys on deck feeling?
Vibing,
Yeah, so far so good.
Yo, you
sailing on,
today
moving
I
forward.
learned talking like Edmund too much gives me the hiccups.
The
more you know.
sacrifices we make for our craft.
Wait until you get into making a toddler laugh so hard she gets the hiccups.
We had
That's just fun.
we had
Classic. The classic.
my little one on a jolly jumper today. Oh, she's having a time of her
That's
life.
always great.
Yes. Yes.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness, all smiles.
That's the best.
Especially when they're eager to get moving. It's always the best.
Oh, dude. Oh,
That
Those
that
are
one
the
hurt.
those are the bad ones. Jeez.
yo, I'm gonna take a quick interlude here to go drink some water. Oh,
Fair enough.
Please do.
yep, hydrate's important.
Hydrate.
I'll be right
Yeah.
back. Oh.
Oh yeah. wyvern in this in this elevator shaft that was like blinded.
I think
We might have blinded it. And there
Okay.
was some kind of a delicious egg. And audience, I'll let you try to figure out what the shit I'm talking about.
But yeah, so I do recall now that whole one shot started because the kitchen, the chef was a dwarf with some low intelligence, and he went and found himself an egg that was delicious, tasted wonderful. And then we go and investigate the egg, and it's definitely not like 3 feet tall. Or the shells of the egg. And so he's like, oh, I don't know, I found it.
I do remember there is a distinctive spiral pattern on it, and that stuck with me.
Spiral pattern on it, yep. I feel like my character like sacrificed himself that game, because I remember saying something like I'm a grim. What did I say? I'm a grim, bloody fable with an unhappy, bloody end, or something like that. And I think I blew myself up. I don't remember. It's been so long. Good times.
It's beautiful.
Oh, that is the most like emo high school.
But I said it with a Scottish accent.
There can be Scottish emos. It's 2023.
Right.
Don't be
You're
racist.
right. That's it. LTD's canceled. Goodbye. Everyone take to X.
No.
Hashtag cancel
Take,
LTD.
stop it. Stop it. Take to X, he says. It's Twitter. It's still Twitter. Stupid.
Yeah.
The URL says Twitter.
Elon thinks
Yeah.
Elon thinks we're calling it X. He's an idiot.
We just start calling it the platform formerly known as Twitter and leave it at that.
several times.
Yeah.
The platform formerly known as
Anywho.
and still accurately known as.
Yeah.
But yeah, all right. So we're back from that quick interlude as the DM died from severe hiccups from giving himself a smoker's cough. Or failing to emulate one. That was a pretty rough cough. That didn't sound good at all. But anyway, we're back now. Everyone's happy.
Hey.
And so how are the boys up on deck doing? Ratman, you feeling all right?
Vibing.
Yeah.
Captain, you feeling all right?
Holmes, all right. A little tired, but it's getting towards the end of his shift, so it's to be expected.
All right, perfect. Well, while you guys are out here doing your thing, I unfortunately need to go disturb Quint's tail end of his nap. Don't worry, you still took your long rest, buddy. It's good.
Yeah, Quinn's been down for like 11 hours at this point. He cooked breakfast and went the hell to bed.
Facts.
Yeah.
Well, Quint, as you're
Everyone else just eating jerky all day because he's like, I need to rest. Leave me alone.
as you're cutting wood down there, a gentle rapping comes at the door.
Quint kind of bolts up and he like kind of braces the walls, and you just see this kind of look of shock on his face, and then settles down and he assesses this small little room. He kind of touches the inside of the door, kind of calms down a little bit, brushes himself off. What is it?
Father, I have some news for you.
Well, I'm listening, and it better be good news.
Can I open the door?
Fine. And Quint actually like kind of kicks the door open a little
I
aggressively.
like to imagine like you just totally got poor Spook in the forehead with that.
Yeah.
Great shot, sir. That was well done.
The door's open.
Uh,
Yeah.
Sir, I have a bit of terrible news to give you. I'm not quite sure how to say it. And he like whispers ever so slightly. In fact, I'm quite ashamed to admit to it. Actually,
Who did you? Oh, I should let you
well,
finish.
you see, Father. Well, while you were off for your adventure,
As he's telling the story, Quint reclines back into his hammock and closes his
Look,
eyes.
see, and like he just like kind of like lists a bunch of things under his breath, just talking a bit like this, and then just he like tries to like pin things and other forethoughts. Like this poor child is quite nervous. But Quint, you perk quite up when Spook says, and then there was a mutiny.
We don't use that word. Quint kind of like puts his head back and forth, says, "We got a good thing here, man. Fuck. Okay, what are you talking about? What's the deal?"
Told you, sir. What were you even listening to me?
No, well, usually when you do these things, you're just trying to get a rise out of me. It's a bit of a learned behavior. Is this an actual emergency?
Call Owlbear trying to stage a mutiny an actual emergency? Then yes.
At this, I think a lot of the kind of silliness that Quint was kind of exhibiting just kind of vanishes, and he just looks him in the eye, and he says, "Spook, it is on brand for you to fuck with me, but I just want you to understand this, what you're suggesting here, that's not a joke.
Well,
that's death. That is
no, of course.
quick death. That is put on display as a reminder to the rest of the crew.
4 of us, sir.
So think that through. Yeah. Well, 3 soon.
Yes, but it's fine because you see the chicken. And like he like shrugs back at that. The chicken put a stop to it, sir.
The chicken stopped the talk.
Stopped the talk. You see, after you guys were gone for so long, Owlbear was furious. I've never seen him so angry before. The man turned red. Did you know he could turn red?
I saw him turn green once. There's something happening.
I mean, he raided the fridge, ate. However, how many? I mean, you're the chef. How much food did he eat?
That is an excellent question, and all of it. It was a lot.
Exactly my point. He was starved half to death, gone mad. He locked me inside of a small room, and then the poor rats down here. And he turns to Aristocrat and Socrates. Someday I'll be able to say those names with a straight face. And he just. I mean, he kicked them. He kicked the poor puppies, and he like snaps his fingers, and Socrates like rushes over and like starts like cuddling with his hand. It's harmless little creatures that Master Tazzik has done a wonderful job training, and he calmed down quite a bit when he had food in his belly. But the fact of the matter is, he caused quite the disturbance. I'm sure you can imagine.
So, Quint, firstly, I'd like to make a sense motive check to see if I think he's lying or not. Quint is not good at reading people. This isn't really his specialty.
Come on, hero point. I'm kidding.
Mm-hmm. That is a natty 2 for a total of a 1.
He is telling you the truth. Everything this man is saying is absolutely truthful.
Okay. Quint nods, and I think he's kind of got a little bit of a faraway look in his face, and it looks like he's trying to like do some mental math. And he says, "All right, have you told the rest of the crew? They're spooked."
No, you see, I'm scared of disappointing the captain, and I don't want to break it to the news to Tazzik that his beloved rats were so properly treated in his absence. I wouldn't want him to not trust me in the future with their care.
I understand. In the future, you go to the captain first. You hear me, Spook?
Yes, sir.
Good. Now, How about we have a bit of a conversation
Hey.
with the captain?
Is Owlbear up there?
I would expect so, but we could make this private company. And Quint kind of gets up, and now he's walking a lot more casually. He's like starting to get up, and he stretches. He says, I guess we'll have a bit of an early start to the day here. Oh. And he Quint kind of like has a bit of an unpleasant look on his face, and he kind of runs over to the galley real quick and looks at some of the slime
Hagfish.
fish, whatever they're called, hagfish that have just been like being salted. And he kind of shakes his head, grabs some, throws it in his pocket, and then starts heading up top. And he says, Spook, we should discuss this with the captain. This is
Yeah, of course, sir. But
very
But
serious.
you see, dinner handled it. Everything's fine. There's no cause for alarm. The mutiny was subdued, and Owlbear's back to being his dopey self.
Well, Spook, look, I doubted you at first, but your conviction is very plain to see. If Dinner intervened, it tells me Dinner might be in on this too. You know, I've seen some strange things from this bird, and I've been suspecting that they might be some kind of familiar or someone. So there's a possibility that maybe the two are involved. It's very serious. So let's head up top. You don't think Owlbear would attack you
Not
on the
at all, sir.
spot,
Like
do
I said,
you?
he's back to his normal self. It was just when he gets hungry, he gets a little upset.
Yeah, that he does. Sorry, you're right. Let's head on top real quick. And Quint is gonna start heading up top. And honestly, with the one, he fully believes the story. So he's not. I think he's kind of gesturing to Spook, like like
Yep.
stay close, but he's not like pulling
Oh no,
him
Spook
or
is
anything like
right
that.
on your right on your tail.
Cool. Okay. So yeah, Quint will make it, I guess, up to this deck, kind of look over at Owlbear, and not really do anything in particular, just kind of nod to him.
Oh, Owlbear's out cold.
Assuming he's awake, he's probably sleeping. Okay, cool. Yeah, okay, then he'll kind of study Owlbear and look to Spook and just kind of like put his finger over his mouth, and then kind of point up to where the captain is, and then he'll head up to whatever direction it is. He will head up to the helm to speak with Eldon. And Quint will kind of approach to Eldon and say, we got something we might want to discuss. Truth be told, Spook should probably tell the story.
Very well. Spook.
I would rather not take any chances. And if at all possible, perhaps we could have this conversation as far away from Owlbear as we can. Very sensitive, you understand.
Yeah, all right. Now, clarify for me, DM, the structure of the ship here. If I'm not mistaken, the part with the pig and the part where Eldon's token is are actually the same
That's correct.
part, correct? It's one. The only reason for the middle layer is because Tazzik's on a raised bit and Owlbear is under a canvas, correct? Okay, cool. So it's one deck and below deck, right? Okay. So yeah, Eldon will kind of shuffle in, kick open the door to the captain's quarters, and kind of gesture for Spook and Quint to follow him in. And then we'll tuck in, and Eldon will kind of kick the door shut behind them. And then, so Eldon's. I guess we kind of established that there is a bed in here, right? That there's
put a bed in there. Yes, there is.
Oh, but no, I just want to make sure. Yeah, we established that because there was where we found the egg was in a nest at the foot of the bed, correct? Yeah. Okay. Cool. So Eldon will kind of move over and lean against the desk that's in here and say, "All right, Spook, let's hear it."
Now, sir, Captain, I really must apologize. I did everything I could to stop it from happening, but at the time, as you can imagine, he's quite a bit...
Get to the point. Get to the point.
Mutiny, sir.
That's a big word. All right. So let's back up a step.
Yeah.
Mutiny. So here, let's back up here. I assume we're here, isolated from Owlbear you mentioned. So I assume by mutiny you're referring to Owlbear attempting a mutiny.
Tempting is a good word, you see, and he gestures to Dinner, who is like wide awake at this point. I actually shot up when the word mutiny was said out loud, and Dinner here, I split chicken that he is. He like gives him a weird look. He put a stop to it, but yes, I will be. See, I was doing everything you had told me to, and I was dealing out proper rations to make sure everyone had their proper meals at the time, and everyone was well fed, and everything was good. But then the owlbear got hungry. It wasn't enough for him, and after 6 days, he got a little angry, sir.
Okay, so let's break this down a little bit, because I feel like we've gotten... Let's step back and look at the big picture here. So you're saying the owlbear, the creature that is humanoid only in appearance, but really in every other aspect, we refer to them as owlbear.
Yes.
who does not speak.
Correct.
Attempted a mutiny because he was hungry. And the chicken,
yes, sir.
Poultry, bird, stopped a mutiny.
He can be quite persuasive when he wants to be, sir.
See, that's where I'm going with this. That's my next question. How, please elaborate for me how it is that the chicken, no disrespect, you're the pain in the ass, and I know you're smarter than we give you credit for, but chicken persuaded Owlbear to stop being angry.
Well, see, once Owlbear... Well, I can't... See, this is where I'm in a bit of a pickle, because I don't know what happened exactly. I know that Owlbear locked me in the storage cabinet where we have the lizard thing, and then he broke into the kitchen, and I know that because the door was off its hinges and all the food was gone. But when I was released by Owlbear's hand, mind you, it was he couldn't look the chicken in the eye.
Okay. And other than the fact that he was angry, what gave you the sense that Owlbear's intentions were mutiny and not just that he was hungry?
Well, it would not be mutinous to disregard a captain's orders.
As I recall, Master Spook, my specific orders were that the two of you were to keep others from getting onto the ship.
And deal out 3 hots.
I don't recall giving that order. Maybe someone else
Looks
did.
at Quint. So...
Regardless, you were rationing the food. That's fair, considering the length of time we were gone. Considering we were gone for the better part of a week, at what point during that time did this all take place?
It was the 5th day, and I guess I was only out of the room for about a couple of hours when Quint made his appearance back on the ship.
And so you were only out of the locked room for a couple of hours when we returned to the ship. And how long before that did he lock you in the room?
A day, perhaps. A couple hours. I don't know. So I was so scared. He stops and he considers, and he's like, "There's no light in there." But it was dark when I went in, and it was light when I came out. So 8 hours, ish.
Okay, so half a day, we'll say, for the sake of conversation. And you're saying that at some point while you were locked in a cupboard and Owlbear was angrily tearing apart our food stores. You got out of the room, and Owlbear refused to look at the chicken, and therefore it was the chicken's fault that Owlbear had calmed down. That was your analysis of the situation.
Well, it couldn't have been the dire rats.
Fair enough. Fair enough. And again, despite understandably, Owlbear disrespected the rationing plan. Fair, understandable. Now, apart from that, to the best of what you saw, he got upset, presumably due to hunger, and then after eating, was no longer angry.
And you see him kind of stop and think, and he looks at the chicken, and he looks at you, and I suppose.
Now, bear with me, Mr. Spook, but if you were to be, say, in a survival situation, let's say you're in a forest, you're in a jungle, you're not on a ship, you're not a part of a crew, you're just out in the wilderness, and suddenly your food stores are taken away, or you no longer have access to food.
Yes, sir.
How do you suppose you might react in such a situation?
Well,
desperation, perhaps?
Desperation is yes.
And given that Owlbear, as we've established, has the intelligence of more or less an animal, to his credit, a smart animal, but frankly, not of normal humanoid intelligence, necessarily, at least not in terms of communication. Is it not potentially fair to say that rather than attempting a mutiny, he was an animal desperate to find food? And thus ripped a door off its hinges to get to where he knew the food was stored?
What?
Due to the extended period that we were gone, when we initially only planned to be gone for a day?
He stops and considers your words, and well, I guess there's a reason why your captain isn't there. But the behavior, nevertheless, the behavior was that of a wild animal.
Agreed. I would agree. That was the behavior of a wild animal. And I think any wild animal that was desperate for hunger, having not been fed more than a small ration for the past 4.5, 5 days, especially one of his size and appetite, I imagine any animal in that situation might be a little more aggressive than normal, or get into a bit of a fit about finding some more food and being fed up with waiting for someone to come feed them more. Given they're used to being fed a more generous portion.
Well,
is that fair to say?
Would be a fair assessment, I think.
Okay. So, we've established the chicken's an animal.
As far as we're aware,
the owlbear is, as far as we're aware, fair enough. And we all have our suspicions. The kind of little side eye at the chicken. We all have our suspicions, however. We've established that the owlbear is effectively behaving like an animal most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Most of the time.
And behaving as an animal in a situation where it was probably fair to say Owlbear was concerned we might not be returning because we were gone way longer than planned. And as a result, he got very hungry. I think his actions are, while unfortunate for the greater scheme of the crew, not unpredictable.
I understand what you're saying. I just wish I hadn't had to deal with it myself.
Understandable. And to your credit, you did all you could in such a situation compared to in a match of physicality. I don't think you and Owlbear are much of a fair fight.
Not at all, sir. I'd wreck him in the first instant.
Of course you would. Anyway, moving on. Now, if we're going to speak to potentially what you refer to as mutinous behavior and disobeying of direct orders, one could also argue that despite being locked in a box, your failure to prevent the kobold from getting onto the ship was equally mutinous and disobedient, no?
I was locked in a box, son. When I come out, the kobold was already on here. And he said he had paperwork. He said he was from you. You sent him.
And yet, you saw no paperwork with my name.
Sir, I can't read.
You read us the note when we were in Port Peril.
Okay, you know what? It's a fair cop, sir.
Let's not lie to each other, Spook.
Spook is the
Spook
what we've
just to
what we've
cross our T's, dot our I's here. But at any point during this whole endeavor, did Owlbear start speaking any kind of weird, out of character goodness? Because the story you're telling me down below just seemed a lot more pressing. You understand?
No real talk of mutiny because Owlbear can't talk.
I see. My apologies for interrupting, Captain, and my apologies for, well, interrupting your evening.
Not at all.
But
I'd be more frustrated that he woke you up early. I know your shift wasn't due to start for a little while yet. Now, that being said, claims of this kind are serious, and we should treat them seriously. But I think, really, Mr. Spook, I think we need to be a little more clear that mutinous behavior would be a more deliberate, more intelligent, more vocal action. And generally speaking, one crew member misbehaving while mutinous doesn't necessarily merit the term mutiny.
So you're not going to keelhaul him?
Would you like me to keelhaul him?
No, sir. No, I have never intentioned. I didn't even want this conversation to happen. It was all Quint's idea.
yeah, it was. You don't be waking up folk in the middle of the night screaming about mutiny without talking to the
He
goddamn
checks
captain.
his sundial on his wrist, and he says, "Quint, you're due to wake up in now."
Yeah. And Quint kind of looks into his pocket. And you just hear this of his stomach. He says, "Yeah, I think I best get to work."
Rather than keep the captain up, who's already been up for so long, I wake you up a little bit early because you've already been asleep for 12 hours. Pirates.
All right. Well, now that we've established this, I think it's safe to say that while we're not thrilled about Owlbear's actions because that means we're all eating hagfish longer than we'd like, I think his actions are reasonable given him as a character. And I think despite our suspicions about the chicken, I'd have my doubts that the chicken did anything to effectively alter Owlbear's mood other than watch him eat food and calm himself down when he had a full stomach.
He turns to the chicken and says, and as for the kobold...
Eldon will turn to Dinner and go, unless you've got something to say for yourself.
Dinner just bark, 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 and settles back down on her egg and closes her eyes.
It's about what I thought.
Okay, and as for the kobold, yes, I can read, and no, he didn't show me paperwork that has you, but it looked like a family name, and he said he knew you, and he described you quite well, and...
We'll let it slide, Master Spook. As you mentioned, you were locked in a cabinet. Was very little you could do to affect the situation. I won't hold it against you this time, though next time we go ashore, if we leave you with explicit orders... We expect those to be followed, regardless of if we are delayed getting back to the ship.
Of course, Captain.
Good. Now, I expect you're also due for an end-of-shift rest. So before you do, just go do me a favor and verify that the chest with the kobold is still locked. And if you wouldn't mind, knock on it to see if he makes any noise and make sure he's not dead.
Right away, sir. And, Spook disappears
off you
below
go.
deck.
Something good help, you know.
Yeah, I feel obligated to apologize, Captain. I'm really not sure what to make of that. I mean,
no, and
Spook's a kid.
While I appreciate his intent. I think, yeah, I'm fairly confident he exaggerated the situation. However, maybe at some point you and I, as we hand off shifts, maybe you and I during our shifts could keep an eye on Albert and see if we notice anything out of character or untoward in the next day or so, and just get a sense of if anything is not quite as it seems, or if anything's changed. Because while I'm quite happy to say that I don't believe there was much to this, the better part of my conscience warns me to be a little cautious just in case.
Good. That's good. You are easily the nicest captain I worked under. So I'm happy that you're exercising caution.
Well,
And
better caution and eyes on the problem than to wake up with an owlbear looming over you in a fit of rage. So I think we're well suited to keep an eye and know where we stand with all of our crew of all shapes and colors.
should I inform Tazzik?
I'm not quite done. I'll make my way up and have a word with him before. I know you've got to get down and begin prepping in the kitchen, so I'll fill him in on the situation before I make my way back for a rest.
Very well, Captain. All right. Did you have any success, by the way, with any kind of serving utensils? I had to bail before you guys made it to the general goods store.
At that, Eldon kind of goes, yes, one moment, and he'll kind of rustle around around where he's got the quartermaster's logs and some of the bags and boxes that we brought back, and pull out the tattered wooden box of cutlery and say, "We found this rather fine-looking set at the blacksmith shop, just gathering dust on a shelf, and he was happy to let it go for a quite reasonable price. I think we made off with a deal that was borderline theft." All things considered,
Nope.
But I'll leave the assessment to yourself. I know you're more familiar with the utensils and their quality.
Fascinating. I've seen a box kind of like this once. It was this gorgeous set of cutlery somewhere in Tianjia, but I doubt it would be something that nice. Let's take a closer look. And Quint will open it up, and I realize there's a skill for this, actually. I would like to... Oh, I'm not trained. No, I don't think it requires training.
I think it's an untrained skill. Yeah, I think you can do it.
Perfect. Oh, yeah. Beautiful. That's a
With
6.
your 6, these are some gorgeous looking, probably made of silver forks and spoons and knives and etc.
Oof. Yeah, Quint whistles. He's like, "Oh, yeah, no, well, Captain, you know how to treat a cook well. I think this makes me feel this inspires me. You know, I feel like it is very important that obviously we take the time to celebrate our victories, but I think it's significantly more important that we ensure the victories of tomorrow. So I'm going to make sure that we're eating like champions, and we're going to manifest our victories. You understand me?"
Happy to hear it, as always. I like
Beautiful.
the way you think.
Excellent. On that note, if you find any velvet tablecloths, fine ceramics, really anything that seems to be worth a pretty penny, keep me in mind.
As we will.
Beautiful. All right.
And then at that, he'll also remind him. Oh yes, and we also picked up from the good blacksmith some extra fishing supplies, hooks, and the like. And Eldon will pull out the little boot knife that he bought and hand it to Quinn and say, "You asked for something to work on your bowls and dishes. Thought this a fine piece that might suit the purpose for you. It looks robust enough to hold up."
Oh, you've got a good eye for this, Captain. I really didn't think that place would have much, but who knows? I guess they got lucky at some point.
The blacksmith seemed to be a man of relative skill. He knew his craft, and he seemed to recognize good quality work in steel when he saw it. So I think if we were ever in a pinch to find some basic materials, some basic steel tools or implements, or if we could bring him the materials, we could probably commission some fair quality work from him if we ever needed to. So a good resource for sure.
I bet that man, I'm assuming, based on the way you were just describing them,
Yes.
that I bet they probably have a hell of a story. All right, well, beautiful. This actually gives me some good inspiration. I got that. Well, I'll show you later, but I think we could do a little better when it comes to our serving trays and such. But gives me something to work on these rough seas.
Excellent. Love to hear that. Love to hear everyone's got a little motivation to take on some projects, take on some work. So
idle hands.
Keep everyone busy. That's right.
And then at that, Quint will make his way back down to the galley, and he'll kind of nod to Tazzik and say, I think Aristocrat, they might have taken a bit of a tumble. They're doing okay now, but you might want to give them some attention later.
I'll keep eyes and make sure they're
Sounds
doing
good.
all right.
And then Eldon will pop his head out back on the deck, and before kind of getting too comfy, he'll relay the conversation very quietly to Tazzik, because I know as we're approaching morning, Albert might be getting up soon. So nice and quietly, Eldon will kind of relay the whole story and the gist, and say, I'm fairly confident Albert just got hungry due to Spook's overzealous rationing, but on the off chance, we should keep an eye and see if anything unusual seems to be happening with him.
Seems like a wise course of action. I'll keep my eyes open.
All right, as you were. And then Eldon will kind of duck back below decks and get ready for a nap.
All right. Well, that leaves poor old Tazzik chilling out on the main deck all by his lonesome. And Tazzik, I mean, it's a pretty clear day, or night, I should say. You're watching the dawn kind of come through, and with the boringness of it all, you're just looking on a very, a beautiful sight too, but very monotonous one. Looking across the ocean, your eyes kind of glaze over a bit, and at some point you just kind of get lost in thought. Not quite sure what Tazzik's thinking about. Trying to figure out how to make that pistol doohickey gun of whatever sorts he's working on come to bits. But you're just thinking. You kind of stop and you take a deep breath as you come to a conclusion of some sort in your head here, and you just get that bitter ashen smell of smoke kind of like burn your sinuses for a second. You just kind of brings you out of it, and you look around and check behind you, and there's nothing there, but that brief moment, you could have sworn you smelled smoke. And
Tazzik kind of just looks at his clothes and goes, probably me. I could use a bath.
Now, rat folk naturally smell like burnt gunpowder, spent gunpowder. It's their natural musk.
No, in fact, rat folk have a gunpowder.
Yeah, they
gland.
take a dust bath, but in gunpowder.
Yeah. It's like
Exactly.
chinchillas.
Rat folk also incredibly flammable, completely unrelated.
Yeah.
They say not to bring a rat folk more within 60 feet of an open flame. And this one uses guns.
When they're not busy doing things,
This one
they're kept
is an
in
open
yellow
flame.
cabinets.
Okay, well, I mean, that's actually all I had for tonight. Couple stories, one more legend than fact, probably, and one definitely more legend than fact.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, the kid's got like he's like 6, like
Yeah. It did feel weirdly satisfying to get a 1 on my sense motive. Yeah.
It was a very
was great.
good thing to just be like,
I will
yep,
believe
that
this.
sounds
this-
legit.
Yep, that
I
tracks.
will believe
Let's
this
go
is
figure
a
this
real
out.
child with my.
Uh,
I thought for
Just-
sure, Quint, you're gonna be like, you're blowing things out of proportion, kid. That's not at all what happened.
Well, that's what I wanted to do, but when I rolled a 1 and you said I believed him, I was like, well, Quint believes him. How does he believe him? He's like, well, this is like, if there's any chance of this being real, we gotta follow the right procedure here, because we got a pretty good thing going right now. Yeah.
yeah, tracks.
I just love how right away you're like,
funny.
I can't read, so yes, you can, Spook.
It's so good. So quick.
Just immediately like, nah, cut the bullshit.
Shut your dumb ass up.
So I can only read on Tuesdays.
So good.
Right.
Luckily for me, it's only ever Monday when we play. It seems all of our
Hey.
conversations happen on
Ayo.
Mondays.
That's right. He read on a
That's right,
Wednesday.
that's
It's
right.
crazy.
I really wanted to break out Smooth Brain, but I was like, nah, there's no point. He's not doing anything.
Nah. He's in the box.
We're not letting
We're
Smooth
leaving.
Brain out.
We're
Smooth Brain
leaving
at
him
this
in the
point is just an agent
box.
of chaos.
Of course. At this point, come on.
Which is why he's locked in the box.
I just love how you guys leave your ship.
He's
Only one person who can communicate in common.
we didn't have a lot of options.
And he's a child.
We have more now.
That's right.
Yeah,
Well,
but
one more.
50-year-old man.
but it's still a significant improvement over what we had before.
It's 100% improvement on people who speak common.
Yeah.
Literally double.
Literally double the number of people on board who speak common. Well, if we all
It
leave.
was the
but-
most intelligent being on a ship. 2 rats, a chicken, an owl bear.
We're like that adventuring party that's collected 8 pets, but we're only like at the beginning of the campaign.
Pets
Yeah.
just showed up at the start.
We've just already got all the pets, and this is like, we didn't even try to collect pets. They just showed up.
I mean,
We
to be
just
fair,
have
you guys
pets.
did steal owlbear.
Still, I mean,
the captain said he could come with us.
yeah, I seem to recall Quinn offering a choice.
Barnabas said, yeah, take him, whatever.
No, he
didn't
said
really
he was
care.
you're stealing his loot, and someday he was gonna come steal it back.
Tis the pirate way.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yar!
Yar. Freaking owlbear. The owlbears
owlbear.
ook softly in the night.
We just get more owl bears.
Yeah.
Guys, be careful.
Family of
Owlbear
owlbears.
is very much like a gremlin. You feed him chocolate after midnight.
I mean, owl bear and chicken disappeared for a while, and then chicken laid an egg. I'm not saying I know what happened, but if a little owl bear cracks out of that egg,
2 things that will never happen to Owlbear this campaign. 1, get him wet. It'll never happen. 2, let him eat after midnight. It'll never happen.
Dude, there's
Yeah, he's just on a boat with limited food supplies when everyone is sleeping in ships. Like,
Yep.
I think at
What could
this
go
point
wrong?
you guys could probably take owlbear in a fight. Probably.
Yeah.
Assume
probably.
probably. Don't want to try
probably
it.
don't want to try it.
Nah.
If owlbear works the way I think he works, which I mean I made him so he does. I think he's still within like one-shotting range of at least one of you.
Oh, he could probably one
Probably
shot
me.
Tazzik. Tazzik's
Yeah,
a
Tazzik
freaking glass
Scott. Yeah,
cannon.
that's right. You
me
took a
too.
negative on your con, you madman.
That's
That's what I'm
Beautiful.
saying, dude. I love that. I love that so much.
He's a
there
brave.
was a time Sorry, I was gonna say there's a time a few episodes back where I was like, I don't need to heal Tazzik because he's at like 80% health, but like 4 hit points of healing is the difference between
80%
him
health.
instantly
Tazzik
dying.
is like
Yeah.
Tazzik at 80% health. Morgan at 80% health.
Yep.
Because
Oh,
what's
man.
Tazzik's max health?
30.
He's got
Yeah.
me beat by a couple points. But that's the higher class hit dice for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's the
no,
gun.
that's
That's the gun.
100%
That's the D10 from Gunslinger right there.
That you got it exactly. And then on top of being a mad lad for that, I didn't take the hit point from the favorite
who
class.
takes hit
Wow, who takes hit
points?
points
Come
for favorite
on.
class? Come on.
That would be dumb. Why would you ever do this?
It's a Quint did that for every level, I think, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
As an oracle, I have 48 HP.
Yeah, no,
Hey.
that is wise, especially considering
Yeah,
you are
as
the
a life
party's
oracle,
health
that
pool.
tracks. Like as a life oracle, that
Yeah.
tracks.
And really,
48
Tazzik
HP
should
and
have.
A not entirely unviable build for Life Oracle where you take like some levels in Barbarian just to get that extra padding. Get that
The
extra D12.
Oh, yeah.
I've been
Well,
I've been eyeing it for
Yeah,
ages.
you can do that. Like you can dip for the D12 or even Blood Rager, because then you get the D10, you get benefits out of your charisma that go with your oracle stuff, and you still get the rage and the other kind of martial aspects of the barbarian.
Yep. And with just a single feat Mad Magic, you can then use spell casting from other classes while you're Blood Rager raging.
That is tasty.
Good. I may or may not have looked a lot into
Packs, though,
this.
man. Oof. You have so many of them, but then
Yeah.
you really don't.
Yep, it's true.
Yeah.
All right, boys and girls, I'm gonna head to bed myself. You guys have fun today?
Yeah, it's good.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's a fun
Yeah.
little interlude.